D, wait for it, delightful.
Check out the name tag. You're in my world now, Grandma.
What's up, nerds? And I got a story for you. Down below, you can find the articles that I read to bring you this video, and you can read them, and judge for yourself and come up with your stuff. Or you can just watch this video because I'm going to break them all down for you and everything, give you my opinion, and maybe you could just, expand on that or whatnot. But before I get started real quick, I just want to say that if you like what I do here and you enjoy independent content here on YouTube, please consider subscribing to my channel. YouTube is always changing up their algorithms, and small channels like mine usually and always get pushed to the back of the line. So I please ask that you like, share, and subscribe, and I thank you in advance. So why don't we go ahead and get started? A little tiny bit controversial, but so we've all heard about it, and if you spent any time online, you've heard about Stephen Dorff's comments. And his comments he said they dropped on here. They dropped and they appeared online in the Hollywood Reporter this week. I believe it was on Tuesday. Don't quote me on the day. I can't remember off the top of my head. And so Stephen Dorff, so this is what it says. I'm going to read a little bit of this article to you, and then I'll just give you my thoughts on it because I do have thoughts. Now, Stephen Dorff did not hold back in a recent interview where he skewered modern superhero movies, targeting specifically the upcoming Marvel film Black Widow. Although he played villain Deacon Frost in 1998's Blade, yes, a Marvel property, but distributed by New Line Cinema, the 47-year-old Dorff told the UK's Independent in a story published Monday that current superhero films are what is wrong with the business. I still hunt out the good shit because I don't want to be in Black Widow, the True Detective actor told the newspaper. It looks like garbage to me. It looks like a bad video game. I'm embarrassed for those people. I'm embarrassed for Scarlett. I'm sure she got paid $5-7 million bucks, but I'm embarrassed for her. I don't want to be in those movies. I really don't want to be in those movies. I really don't. I'll find that kid director that's going to be the next Stanley Kubrick, and I'll act for him instead. Now, I just think that what's the point of going out and criticizing people for doing good work? I mean, as if it's easy to make these movies. For every successful Marvel Cinematic Universe film, I go back and look at Elektra. I mean, no offense to people that made those movies or that movie specifically, and I understood it, but I mean, look at like the second Ghost Rider movie, or look at Catwoman. I mean, it's not like this movie can't go horribly awry or anything like that. I mean, look at Batman and Robin. I mean, and rest in peace, Joe Schumacher. But this idea that these movies are somehow so easy to make, and that a Marvel Cinematic Universe is just to give it like, are we just going to toss these movies off? Like that's the whole thing. Like, it's not like they pre-planned them years in advance. It's not like they found the perfect people to be in these movies. It's not like they are trying not to make the best movies, collectively. They're trying to do something storytelling wise that hasn't been done in these movies. I was being sarcastic, by the way, in case you didn't get that. I just think like, oh, and by the way, let's not even talk about the box office. I mean, I don't understand what is there to be embarrassed about and what Stephen Dorff is talking about. I mean, like, maybe one day he'll be in one of these movies, but I think that, it's the same thing. It's going on. I saw it when I was a kid, and it came with these guys. They're just like, oh, you're nerds and everything. Yeah, really. Well, we live in a nerd utopia right now. I mean, like, it's a huge nerdtopia all around and everything. And we're living in it. And because of people growing up with this material and loving the material and growing up and becoming purveyors of this material, that's how we get stuff like that's how us nerds get stuff like this. I mean, the problem is not the comic book movies. The problem is with people making bad comic book movies. And you may ask yourself, how do you judge those things? How do you judge whether things are bad or not? And I don't have to judge them because, time will judge them. People in time will judge them because, they'll get passed on. I mean, like, there's no way that down the line, people are going to look at these Marvel movies and not show them to their kids. I show them to my kids. So I think that that's how, generations will pass these movies on. And yeah, there are some movies that are considered bad when they came out, but they're cult classics now. But the true bad movies do not get called good movies. They're just bad movies. We just enjoy them because they're so bad. But that's the thing about history. And I'll tell you, as someone who watches movies from all around the world, I like all kinds of movies, from Bollywood to, Asian films and everything. There's so many good movies out there, but I put on Infinity War and Endgame and I love them because they are a realization of what I wanted to see when I was a kid. And the culmination of 10 years worth of movies. It's just so fantastic. Those two movies put together, it's just so great. So yeah, I'll watch all kinds of movies, but I'm still gonna love this place for all of these things and everything. And I appreciate Steven Dorff saying that he's waiting for the next Stanley Kubrick. But how does he know that the next Stanley Kubrick isn't going to direct the next Marvel film? And as I'll point out, Scarlett Johansson is a producer on Black Widow. And as Kevin Feige said, the director of the film that she brought in this director, and she stood behind her and brought in the director and said, this is a female director I think that I should be working with. I stand behind her. And Marvel's like, okay. And that was a pretty boss move on Scarlett Johansson's part. I mean, and so not only was Scarlett Johansson acting in the film, also brought in the director, and that's producing. I mean, she's a producer on this film, and she earned a producing cred, and you're going off on her and saying that you're embarrassed for her. And we really need to start really thinking about when we're going after people online. I don't mind going after those the people who's going not after the people, but going after work that is substandard. And and because I do it all the time. I go off on movies that suck all the time, and I just, you call them out and you just be like, they're bad and everything. And I'm not like an angry guy going after people, but I'm going after the work that they turned out. You put out a bad movie, and I'm going to say your movie sucked. That doesn't mean you did a bad job in the movie. And I'm trying to think of an example off the top of my head, and I didn't write one down in my notes, but I'm just trying to think of something because the resources and the money that we have the studios have today is more than they've ever had before, and the problem is that they have all these resources, but they don't have the writing, and that's where it falls down. And the writing can be put squarely in the people writing the scripts. And you've got, and then that's the thing, and you've got everything that you need to write a good script. I think that we all know good storytelling is out there. And I mean, like, if you like put out, if you think about it, there's, there's people that write screenwrite, there's have screenwriting courses, and there's people that teach screenwriting, and then you can buy books to write screenplays and stuff like that. So I think that there's no short supply of teaching people how to write good stuff. But I say be happy with people's success and hate the work if it's not good. But I mean, don't hate the people that made it. Don't begrudge anyone that got a good job out of everything and made some money out of it. And Marvel made a crap ton of money with these movies, and that's got to and you can't let that eat you up inside. You can't let that get a hold of you, Mr. Dorff. I know you're watching this because I'm amazing and you love me, but I mean, take them, as inspiration of what they did, and don't get angry about it. And I mean, like, you talk about you're embarrassed for Scarlett Johansson. I mean, really, do you think Miss Cortland, who directed the new Black Widow movie, is going to say, I'm embarrassed for her to know how Johansson put her neck out on the line for the director of that movie with Marvel? And she used her clout that she earned over 10 years of being in movies, and to make sure that Black Widow, that she was working with somebody that she could trust, which probably made her performance better. Certainly they got somebody, like Florence Pugh to play Yolana Bobovich. I don't know how you say her name. And I mean, from what I've read online, that turned out really good, that she's like the best part of the movie. So, I mean, right there is something to say for that. And it's bad form. and I'm sick and tired of listening to people crap on these genres, especially comic book movies. I really am, because the movies that make people happy, these movies make people happy, and they're not easy to make. And you think it's easy to make one of these movies, or but it's not. It's not easy to make these movies. It's like Rumpelstiltskin making gold out of straw. It's very rare, and it's hard to make a good movie, much less 23 interlocking movies to make a cinematic universe. And it's up to the thousands of people that worked on this and can look back at this movie and say, what am I really proud of that movie, and what's the point of that I'm trying to say? And or would I be embarrassed if I was Scarlett Johansson? I'm certainly not embarrassed for her. I don't think anybody else is either. And it's a really stupid thing to say. And look, if you want to save your anger and save it for bad writing, then that's where I am. That's where I think it's okay. And I think that's where where if you attack Scarlett Johansson, that's kind of problematic. Now, when he says it looks like a video game, from what I understood, the CGI in the third act is pretty bad. So I would say I haven't seen it yet as of recording this, but when I do see it, I'll put that in my review. I'll definitely reference this whole thing, because it looked very somewhat video gamey from the trailers. So as far as the cutscenes kind of go. So that is my second story of this week. Sorry, I kind of went off on a little tangent there, and I kind of I didn't write down like a bunch of my thoughts, but I wrote down some stuff. And I wanted to I wrote out bullet points, and I wanted to get those out and everything. So tell me, what do you guys think about this? How do you feel about Stephen Dorff's comments about being embarrassed for Scarlett Johansson and Black Widow? I mean, I think it's a little ridiculous. If you're going to be embarrassed about the writing. If the writing is bad, I haven't seen the movie yet, so I have no judgment about Black Widow yet. But be embarrassed if the writing is bad, not for the work that Scarlett Johansson put in. Or do you disagree with me 100% and you think F-bomb that he can be embarrassed for her all he wants and everything? You guys go ahead and tell me what you think. Leave all your comments in that section down below. If you like this video, go and hit that like button. I won't mind. If you're new to my channel, please hit that subscribe button. I would greatly appreciate it. And I will see you guys next week. You guys have a good week. Bye.